Chapter 21. What time do you think it is? Asked Louise loudly. Tommy glanced down at his watch beside the bed and yawned a forced yawn. Then he stood up, putting on a big act and exaggerating every movement. Upon looking at the sun and guarding his eyes with his hand, he said, "Almost 1 o'clock." "How can you tell by looking at the sun?" quizzed Louise. "It's easy. I saw Crocodile Dundee do it," mused Tommy. "You checked your watch first and then told me the time, didn't you? You cheat," accused Louise. Tommy shrugged his shoulders. "Exactly, my dear," he said and smiled. Louise shook her head and smiled. "You're incorrigible." Tommy winked at her and said, "Don't you smile and swear at me in one go." "Go and make the rolls, gourmet," Louise said, shaking her head and smiling. "See, you're doing it again, bossy," said Tommy, winding her up as he walked inside laughing. Louise applied more oils to her front and closed her eyes, picturing Tommy in her thoughts. Tommy went into the kitchen. Oh, Louise. He washed his hands and started to prepare lunch. "Salad rolls coming up. Plat de jour. No, prato de dia. As in Portugal. Do as the Portuguese do. Dish of the day," he said to himself. "Ham salad rolls, 1 each. Cheese salad rolls, 1 each. Little bowl of side salad each. Crisps, olives and pickles. Looks good. Bottle of white wine. Maybe 2 large bottles of ice water. Pot percolated coffee and some almond cake. Salad rolls indeed. They'll be impressed." Tommy looked at his watch. 1:45. Good timing. "Louise, lunch is ready. Are we having it out there or in here? Louise, do you want to freshen up? Louise, come on, move. It's lunch." "That's all I do here. Washing, ironing, tidying up, making the beds, slaving over an hot stove, cooking. Do I get appreciated? No. And as for sex? Forgotten about that, haven't you? What about my needs? I'm just a slave in your castle." Tommy was having a right old laugh to himself. And Louise could hear every word, shaking her head, giggling away. "Nag, nag, nag. I'm coming. Stop moaning," Louise shouted out so Tommy could hear. This only inspired him even more. "Nag, nag, nag. I see. That's how it is now. Now I know what you think of me, an old nag," Tommy retorted sarcastically, laughing to himself out loud. Louise smiled and raised herself from the lounger. She ambled slowly across the patio, grabbing a narrow-strapped T-shirt from the chair. She paused at the doorway into the lounge area, pulling her T-shirt over her head and down to her waist, pushing the straps down over the tops of her arms. Tommy skipped towards the kitchen door, still giggling at himself, as he leant out to call Louise again. "Louise!" She stepped into the doorway, right into his aura, into a tight space for both of them. They both glided and mirrored each other in a slow motion action. Their own momentum took them back into the kitchen. Standing there, Louise's back was touching the wall next to the doorway, leading to the lounge, and they froze, settling against the wall that felt cool against Louise's back, the only thing that was cold. They stood there looking deep into each other's eyes, transfixed, tranquil, silent. The energy between them flowing back and forth, electric. One of Louise's legs then raised a little, placing the sole of her foot against the wall. She was biting her bottom lip. She was wearing just her thong and T-shirt over her moist, oiled body. One of Tommy's arms was aloft, and his hand placed on the wall just above Louise's head, the other hand hovered beside her waist. Tommy had the tip of his tongue between his teeth. Not emotion. Statuesque. A small bead of perspiration broke out on Louise's forehead. Tommy gently brushed it away with his fingertips and then flicked her hair back off of her face, over her shoulders. Then a single pearl of sweat rolled from her left shoulder, flowing over the edge of her moist, thin t-shirt, which was now succulent against her torso. It cascaded down her tanned, oiled body, over her rounded, succulent breasts down to her waist, vanishing into the cloth of her thong. Tommy watched it as it ebbed away down her beautiful fit body. Louise watched his eyes follow the curvatures of her body, and she noticed his. She went weak and sighed. Tommy's eyes then returned to meet Louise's, who had stopped admiring Tommy's firm physique. Once more, both looking and both seeing each other in a whole new dimension. Tommy was wearing just his shorts, his muscular tanned body, strong muscled legs, his hair pushed back over his ears. They were close, so close. They stood that close. The energy and sensual tension between them was electrifying, rising. Louise straightened her leg. She licked her lips and said softly, "I've got cramp in my foot." Louise and Tommy were locked into each other's eyes as she spoke. In a moment, without hesitation, he crouched down onto one knee, never taking his eyes from her body, her firm, succulent, rounded breasts, her slender stomach and slim waist, her curved hips, her well-shaped legs. His firm hands gently took hold of her foot. He cradled it into the palms of his hands and he massaged it. Louise stood there motionless, looking down at Tommy, smiling, enjoying the moment, the intimacy, enjoying the way he was caressing her foot, the closeness between them, taking care of her. Tommy continued to massage Louise's foot, then leaving one hand holding the base of her sole, his fingers were gently pulsating, in, out, in rhythm, in, out, manipulating. The other hand he placed on her calf, gently stroking up and down the calf muscle. Louise gasped and swallowed deeply. Tommy's eyes wandered upwards, scanning the entirety of her beautiful tanned oiled body, and their eyes met. Tommy slowly began to rise. They was fixated with each other. He brushed her hair from her brow with his left hand and tenderly fondled the cheek of her face with his right. You couldn't slip a cigarette paper between them. Intimate, intrusively wonderful. For what seemed to be an eternity without any boundaries crossed or any reservations. "Thank you," whispered Louise, putting her right hand on his shoulder and placing her left hand on the top of Tommy's right hand. "My pleasure, Louise. Any time," whispered Tommy as he continued to brush her hair and stroke her face. Hello, I'm back," shouted Sophie. "Where are you?" "There you are. Oh my God, is anything wrong? What is going on? Louise, are you okay?" she quizzed. Yes, I'm fine. I've got cramp in my foot," said Louise. "I should say I had cramp in my foot," she added. Tommy looked over at Sophie, startled. "Lunch is ready. It's on the table, Soph," he mumbled, lowering his head and combing his fingers through his hair. Tommy stood there for a few seconds, really not knowing what to do or say. Then at once it all became quite apparent as to what he should do, and quickly, because he was suddenly aware and embarrassed by his body's reaction. He turned away very quickly, so his back was towards both the girls, hoping, praying no one had noticed. He moved rapidly towards the table, trying to cover his pride, and sat down. "Excuse me." Louise went to her bedroom and sat on the edge of her bed for a minute or so to regain her equilibrium, wiping the oil and sweat from her body. Wow. Sighing deeply, her emotions were all over the place. Breathing erratically, then deeply, taking stock of what just happened and calming herself. Once more in self-control and poised, she then put a bikini top on and shorts, a dry t-shirt, before returning to the kitchen. She smiled at both of them and sat down opposite Tommy. Unknown to Louise and Tommy's knowledge, Sophie had been there quite a while longer than before she had spoken and interrupted them. She had returned to find no one by the pole. Curious at their disappearance and slightly concerned. "Where are you?" she had mumbled. Alarm bells went off in her head, and butterflies started to jingle in her tummy. A sickly feeling rose from inside her, nausea. "Where are you?" she panicked. No noise, silence. Perhaps they've gone for a kip or a shower, she thought more hopefully. Sophie had entered the room via the patio doors and was heading for her bedroom when she saw their reflection in the mirror on the lounge wall. She stopped instantly, the nauseous feelings increasing to maintaining the angle and positioning herself into view that they could not see her, although there was little chance of that as their attention was fixed on each other. It was magnetic. She had observed this very close encounter and had indeed witnessed their moment. "Cramp? Wow, my God, that's painful," said Sophie. "I thought only sports people got it," she mocked. "Good job his lordship was here to give you an helping hand," she added as she unpacked her bags full of goodies for them. She then went to her bedroom to remove her personal stuff and to get changed, returning to the kitchen. Still, at least Tommy was on hand to help out, she quipped again. "Is it okay now?" "Yes, fine, thanks. It only lasted a moment," answered Louise coyly. "Yes, the muzzle wasn't that solid. Tight," piped in Tommy, wishing he hadn't said anything as he slightly started to blush, putting his head down. They sat around the table eating, making small talk, the best they could, but there was a tense atmosphere, awkwardness and embarrassment between Louise and Tommy, and brush from Sophie. "Were there many people downtown, Soph?" asked Louise. "A few." "Were the shops busy?" inquired Tommy. "Did you buy anything nice for yourself?" quizzed Louise. "Did you go into Sully's for a drink?" added Tommy. "Blimey, this is like the third degree. Good cop, bad cop. What's next, the thumbnails?" retorted Sophie cynically. "Slow down, Tiger," snapped Tommy. "We're only interested, Sophie," said Louise, with a tone, an edge to her voice. "I went down to the beach bar first for a coke, and the beach was very busy. No, the shops were quite empty. I thought maybe we would have another look tomorrow. I popped into Sully's and had a bottle of water before starting back," answered Sophie sarcastically and tersely.